Vartanian. Jessica is the VP Project Implementation and Impact at Red Rocks Credit Union in Littleton, Colorado. Jessica will be presenting her Re-engineering the Member Journey project. And her project, how many times am I saying project? And it's just, is about learning how custom data integrations, automated system workflows, and empowered team members come together to forge a world-class CRM that is re-engineering the member journey. Let's hear it for Jessica.
Thank you. Let me tell you a story. On May 9th, 2016, Barbara walked into Red Rocks Credit Union. On this day, Barbara was grieving the loss of her husband of 56 years. She came to us seeking financial counsel with questions and concerns about checks her husband had written, funds in his name, and we provided her with all the documentation she needed. But a week later, we received a letter from Barbara. And while she admitted that we were able to answer all of her questions, we failed to provide Barbara with the one thing that she needed more than anything that day: reassurance and compassion. Now, unbeknownst to Barbara, we were already in the midst of an organizational transformation, and her letter only acted as a catalyst to spread this fire. Our fire to be passionately focused on member experience as our business model driver. Because like many of you, we recognize that our members' stories, they're ultimately our stories. I want to introduce you to the Jenkins. They're Red Rocks members since 1991. And in fact, every image you're going to see today are members of Red Rocks Credit Union that have all stood up and said they want their stories to be a part of our story and a part of the story I'm sharing with you today. So why does member experience matter? We know our members matter, but it's bigger than that. The CIO of Dell said customer experience is the next competitive battleground. And in fact, by 2018, it is estimated that nearly 50% of organizations will implement significant changes to their business models in order to obtain member and customer experience. And in the retail world, the world our members live in every day, the world that our millennials and our Gen Zers have grown up in, this isn't a fad anymore. This is the norm. So how do we as credit unions, who have always been passionate about our members, take this to the next level? Well, for inspiration, I went to an author, Simon Sinek, who many of you might know. And I thought to myself, why? Let's break this down to the most fundamental element. Why do I do what I do? Why do credit unions do what they do? And my answer was probably the same as many of yours: our members. But how do I apply this to our technology? How do I create a tool that can do this? Well, I took this same model from Simon Sinek and I applied it to our technological architecture. And at the center of that was our core processor, like many of you. And I thought, for many of us, if we have a CRM or a member relationship tool, it sits somewhere on the outside. It's an additional plugin, additional systems for our team members to log into, additional complications in a world that we want to create more simplicity. So what if we flip that? What if we disrupt this model that we're so accustomed to, and we put our CRM at the center of what we do? We represent our members not just at a transactional level at the core, but at a relationship level, using APIs, using technology to connect all of our systems to one central core where the member relationship sits at the middle of that. Now, this isn't an easy project, let me tell you, and it wasn't done overnight. In fact, we phased it into multiple phases. And so far, I've launched phase 1, what will ultimately be a phase 2 and a phase 3. But to start phase 1, I went to our team members, I went to our line leaders, I went to our executives and even our members, and I thought, what are the absolute necessity? What are the tools that we need to be successful off the bat, to engage with our members immediately differently than we were before? And I came up with this list. But we know, as we heard this morning, it's not just about technology, it's about relationship. So I took this same model and I added a little bit of heart to it. Because it's not just about dashboards, it's not just about reports, it's about creating meaningful change. It's about C-level transparency. It's not training, it's how do we empower our team members to engage differently. It's not just about answering cases. It's about creating understanding throughout our team so they can take ownership and impact. And it's not just front-facing. When you put your CRM at the core of your technology, it becomes just as much about the back office as it is the front office. And what this does is this creates windows between your departments. So when they're each trying to create solutions, they're doing it together in one collective ecosystem. And for us, a credit union with barely over 18,000 members, the smallest credit union you're going to hear from today. Only 5 months so far in our phase 1, it looks like this. It looks like almost 14,000 member cases resolved 71% faster than they were the day we went live. It's 6,500 customized communications delivered to our members. It's almost 1,400 qualified referrals, generating 23% loan growth this year. As the numbers come in, we're in the middle of our annual survey right now, it looks like a 22% increase in our NPS from last year. And finally, it looks like this, 83 impact stories. Impact stories are a way that we have empowered our team members to engage with our members differently, capturing stories and elements going on in their lives that might have nothing to do with their financial situation, but everything to do with the heart of the member. And that might look like this. It might look like a new granddaughter. It might look like hurricane relief. It might look like an elder falling ill. It might look like a motorcycle accident, a celebration of retirement, or a celebration of adoption. I want to share a final story with you. Almost a year to the day from when Barbara walked into our credit union, we had another member walk in. Her name was Leslie, and just like Barbara, she was suffering from the loss of a husband. And just like Barbara, she came to us seeking financial counsel. And just like Barbara, she wrote us a letter, and I want to read it to you. Thank you to my credit union family. Your kindness and generosity are beyond words. Every time I walk through your doors, you make me smile. It may be through tears, but the smiles are always on all of you. And finally, I want to thank my team. This is them behind you. None of this would have been possible. I wouldn't be presenting to you today if it wasn't for my team behind me. They're the ones out there working this every single day. And I want to thank Pat and Wendy, who are in the audience back there, my loudest cheerleaders, because without their leadership or support, you know that none of this would be possible. So thank you.
Excellent job. Let's start with Dee Dee.
Only one question, huh? Several. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. So 23% loan growth, right?
Yes.
23%, Tyson, increase in net promoter score.
Yes.
And 83 impact stories, and it's going on and on.
Yes.
What about the infrastructure? If this keeps skyrocketing, the success, what kind of conversations are you having about the infrastructure to support it?
We're working on phase 2 right now. So I think our ultimate approach, just like we heard this morning, is focusing on that destination, but being really agile in the path we take. So we've got our phase 2 scaled out in this year's budget. And then as we go through our strategic planning, we're really looking at if we keep perpetuating this growth, this success, how we can continue to scale. We really took a lot of heart into the vendors and the teams that we were working with to make this happen, so that it's not something that we can outgrow. To be honest, I'm confident that the infrastructure we're building could sustain a multi-billion-dollar credit union, and hopefully we're there one day, but right now, we've got some time.
Well, it's great to do this work at the size that you're at, so you have that scalability.
And Dan, question from you.
Sure. I think you've done a tremendous job at increasing member intimacy through a technology solution, which is a challenge I think that a lot of credit unions go through, is what is that balance? I'm curious, how dependent do you think your particular solution is to your core and to your solution, the provider, the Salesforce? So for other credit unions, do you see that they can do something similar with other systems, I guess?
Yes, I think the key for us, we have a core that was very open with their API integrations. So I think one, it's looking at, do you have the right core system? Is it a legacy system that you need to consider revamping? But making sure that when you're working with vendors, you've got the right mindset around API integration. From there, it's just putting together those right connections, which really with the right foundation and the right resources is not as intimidating as it might seem, but definitely it starts with the core and really looking at, does this core still make sense? We went through a core conversion a few years ago because of that exact reason. We've been on the same core for 20 years. And though core conversion is nothing I want to relive again in my career, it has opened up a world of opportunities for us.
Very nice job, Jessica. Let's hear it for you.